These are not just extremely graphic movies for the sake of shock value. They're films that repeatedly cross the lines most films won't touch. Movies loaded with sex robots, BDSM, buckets of blood, and maybe more obscenities than your browser history. Even an animated movie that's as unsettling as anything David Lynch ever made. And my number one pick is the tamest movie on this entire list, but it's the one you will remember the most, making it my strongest recommendation out of everything currently on HBO. Always remember to check the list recap at the end of every video for additional availability outside HBO. I put out 2 videos like this every single week, loaded with movies I've actually watched and recommend, so if you prefer that over an AI-generated list, send the AI overlords a strong message by subscribing to my channel instead. But let's get started with a raunchy one that feels like a mix between The Graduate and American Pie, with Jennifer Lawrence in No Hard Feelings.
This isn't the way to my house.
It's a shortcut. You're my hostage. What you got down there? Something for me?
A raunchy comedy starring Jennifer Lawrence that came out kind of at a peak point of raunchy comedies effectively being banned. I don't know if you've noticed, they don't really make movies like this anymore. I mean, The Hangover and other movies that came out at that time, they're kind of the last big hurrah for movies like this, which means No Hard Feelings kind of stands out. It feels very out of place in this era.
I need to fire her.
I can't fire her. She has a disability.
What? No, I don't.
You don't?
No.
That's the reason why I hired you.
I have a feeling movies like this are making a comeback, but this one actually got a bit overlooked when it released. If you're a fan of movies like that, movies by the Farrelly brothers, if you've been missing comedies like that and you overlooked this one, I'm telling you, you missed a total gem. Not a masterpiece of filmmaking or anything like that, although we've definitely got some of those on this list, but in this movie, she's basically hired to sex up a young boy, a 19-year-old, who's just kind of not coming out of his shell. His wealthy parents pay her basically like a living wage in order to bring him out of his shell, we'll say.
So when you say date him, do you mean date him or date him?
Yes.
It's just over-the-top funny stuff that, again, they just don't make anymore, at least not stuff that's released in theaters the way this one was. A somewhat recent release that totally surprised me is the new Final Destination movie, Bloodlines. Now, I kind of like the Final Destination movies. They've got an interesting hook, but they've gone on for a long time. There's a lot of them. This new one is very different, and it leans heavily into wild, crazy, over-the-top practical effects, not just practical effects, like entire set pieces loaded with stacks of practical effects. Like, it is a practical effects showcase is what this movie is, and it's a lot of fun if you like gore. It's obviously a gory movie, but not in a just overly repulsive way, certainly in a cringe-worthy way, but again, the big, elaborate set pieces, they play into this Final Destination concept, you know, like death is coming for you no matter what. They just leaned into it so hard with the new one, and it works so incredibly well. In fact, this is from the creators of a much smaller movie titled Freaks, a movie I recommend here all the time. Really cool to see them graduate up to this big blockbuster horror movie where they let them just go wild. They let them do a lot of crazy stuff with this Bloodlines movie. Now, at the top of the video, I promised some raunch, some movies that really kind of push the envelope, and I've got another somewhat new release that does that multiple ways throughout the entire movie, with Babygirl starring Nicole Kidman. Now, she's done quite a handful of sexy movies, but movies where, like, sex is kind of the main fulcrum and everything pivots around it. You know, you've got Eyes Wide Shut, To Die For, which is actually over on Netflix. There are others, but then this one stands out to me in her career. It's got an interesting setup that I don't want to actually spoil too much. I don't want to give too much away, but the trailers kind of don't really sell this movie. They make it seem like a typical sort of affair type movie, and that's not really what's happening here. Like, yes, that's occurring, but there's something much deeper going on with Babygirl that I actually found really interesting. It's not necessarily a movie I connected with personally, but Nicole Kidman, not only do I think she's a great actor, but she makes very interesting choices. I don't mean the projects she works on. The choices she makes, like, with her performance are always interesting, and this movie is just no exception. I will warn you, though, it's eye-wateringly graphic, but also kind of disturbing in some of the themes that it explores, but it explores them in a way that I think kind of brings things to light and makes them more interesting and ultimately less disturbing, or maybe even not disturbing at all by the time this film concludes. That's all I want to say. A sexy movie that is way more interesting than I could have expected.
I've never experienced anything like this.
Good girl.
Now, we'll go from that one to just tremendous horror movie. One that is just incredibly well conceptualized, well written, well directed, incredibly well acted. I still didn't love it because of how repulsive it actually is. Bring Her Back. Now, this is from the same writer-director team that did Talk to Me, kind of a breakthrough horror movie from a couple of years ago, and they're YouTubers. They kind of got their start with short films on YouTube. Really, really cool to see their careers taking off, and they made an incredible horror movie here. It's just so damn disturbing, I don't know that I ever care to see it again.
Well, I'm a weirdo.
As I mentioned, it's also well acted. Sally Hawkins is the lead in this movie. Her performance sells this thing, elevates it, makes it so much more than a typical horror movie, but so does the concept. And they did a great job bringing the concept to life. It's less poppy and less culturally significant maybe than Talk to Me, but much more interesting and much deeper, I think, than Talk to Me was. It's certainly a smarter film, but again, one that I don't think I care to see again. It's so dark, but again, a dark horror movie that is just done to the nines. I do think these guys' greatest film, it's coming. Like, it may not be their next one, but they are going to make something incredible at some point. I have a strong feeling.
We can bring her back.
Now, before we get to the rest of the movies on this list, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, Delete Me, and how they've been helping me protect my personal data for over a year. Which is such an important thing to do nowadays because unfortunately nearly everyone's personal data, including your name, phone number, and home address, they're being sold online by data brokers. To make things worse, anybody can purchase that information. So having those personal details available out on an open marketplace like that opens you up to all kinds of problems like harassment, stalking, makes you a prime target for financial phishing scams and identity theft, but you do have the right to protect yourself. You can actually ask these data brokers to remove the information, and they have to do it. Now, you may have to ask them multiple times. You may need to place multiple phone calls and emails, which would take forever because there's a bunch of these data broker companies. Well, this is what Delete Me does for you. It's a super quick and convenient sign-up process, and then Delete Me starts contacting these companies on your behalf, and they keep hammering them until your information is removed and they've confirmed it. Like I said, super simple, took me just a few minutes to set up, and I don't do anything anymore. I just sit back and quarterly, I get a report where Delete Me shows me how much time they saved me. I see which sites they've removed me from completely already and what sites they're still working on. But even if I don't look at that report, the most important thing to me is my email inbox isn't full of junk the way it used to be, and my phone doesn't ring from telemarketers all day. And it's not something I have to think about much, but it's nice to know that my personal data is protected. It's not as vulnerable as it used to be. And right now, my viewers can save 20% off Delete Me's consumer plans when they visit my link in the video description, or just go to joindeleteme.com/flick. Delete Me can even help protect your entire family with a family plan if you want to check that out. But again, to get that discount, follow my link. It's a service I strongly recommend. But speaking of strong recommendations, let's get back to the movies.
Who are you?
My name's Aileen.
Next up, we've got what is one of my favorite movies from Harmony Korine, maybe my second favorite movie of his, Behind the Beach Bum. It's the one he did right before The Beach Bum, probably his most famous movie now, Spring Breakers. I don't know if I can say that. He's famous for some wild movies, but Spring Breakers is maybe his most commercially successful film. And not only is it raunchy, but it's weirdly raunchy. It's got some bizarre scenes in it between James Franco and some of the girls. And you're talking like Disney girls at the time. Like Selena Gomez had not really been in anything risque quite yet when this movie came out. And this movie, the girls are in bikinis the entire time until they're not. And eventually they're in bikinis and ski masks. Spring Breakers is very much a vibes movie. It kind of goes off the soundtrack, the look and feel of it. There is a story. It's kind of a loose story, though. I mean, I could tell it to you in about 30 seconds or less. Yet the movie rocks. I mean, if you're into the aesthetic and kind of the vibe that Harmony Korine's bringing to screen here, Spring Breakers is an awesome flick. It just ultimately doesn't really go anywhere. Then we've got another new release that's kind of the opposite of Spring Breakers. It's got very dry pizzazz to it, if you want to put it that way, and it's long, loaded with story, and it doesn't really go off vibes at all. Eddington. This stars Joaquin Phoenix and is the latest film from writer-director Ari Aster, who's most famous for Hereditary and Midsommar. But he previously did Beau is Afraid, also with Phoenix, a really weird movie that I did like, but very, very hard to watch. Like one of the most coarse movies. There's so much friction like with my brain watching that movie. Now, Eddington has somewhat similar vibes at times, but feels much more glued together. It's much less of a fever dream than Beau is Afraid was, and Eddington explores so many ideas in so many great little ways.
Changing institutions, dismantling whiteness, and not allowing whiteness to reassert itself. But we're pretty much light years away from that. Are you f***ing retarded?
Now, it's all satirical, and it all takes place during the COVID pandemic, so there is some stuff in this movie that is going to freak you out. Depends on how sensitive you are, but like there's a confrontation in a store about wearing masks, and I gotta tell you, no matter which side of things you're on, this movie explores the entire situation, I think, really brilliantly.
Well, here's a quote from you. Arm yourselves.
I don't mean literal arms.
Like, I was actually surprised that they went to some of the spaces that they went to with this movie, and not just with masks wearing. I mean, they touch on protesting and gurus and all sorts of really topical things without getting too political. It never gets bogged down in American politics, but it does explore kind of the current state of the American psyche in some really interesting ways. And again, it's glued together much better than Beau is Afraid. Now, it's still a really weird movie that's not going to work for everybody, and it is overlong, but it is one I will definitely be revisiting.
We are in a fight against evil.
So if you want to explore some really interesting ideas about like American culture during the pandemic and since, I don't know that anyone's going to do it better than Eddington. Now, the next one I also really enjoyed in 2025, but I've talked about it quite a few times as it's hopped around on streaming services over the past year, so I'll be brief with my description of Companion. Now, again, this one totally surprised me, and I'm going to spoil something, but it's spoiled in all of the trailers. This movie's about a sex robot who doesn't know she's a sex robot. She thinks she's in love with her companion, or rather, she's the companion bot, and she just thinks she's a young girl, and Love suddenly finds out that she's not only a robot, but a robot designed for almost one exclusive purpose.
This is just water. You know, it's from a reservoir in your body. It's like wiper fluid.
She doesn't take it well either, let's put it that way. Now, while this is a raunchy and bloody movie, you know, it's not a lot of gore. It's just, you know, a few buckets of blood and a lot of tongue-in-cheek stuff. Ultimately, a very fun movie that was clever, too. Like, the concept is clever enough, but then everybody really kind of brought this thing to life in a fun way. Again, just a total surprise of a movie that, honestly, it delivers what you'd expect, and it also, it punches above its weight quite a bit. All right, coming up, I've got a couple of honorable mentions. My top two are the weirdest movies on this list, and I love them. Before that, we've got the last horror movie on this list, with a movie that is kind of the pinnacle of everything that came after the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, with Rob Zombie's The Devil's Rejects. HBO Max actually has the director's cut, which I do recommend. It's got a little bit added, and this is Rob Zombie's greatest film. I don't even think there's a question. He's done quite a few good horror movies. I even like his Halloween movies. The Halloween 2 that he did, it's so different and weird. I really like that movie. But The Devil's Rejects, my goodness, even though it's insanely disturbing, it's so well done, incredibly well acted, practically like Shakespearean level acting from some of the actors in this movie. And it's such a weird juxtaposition.
I want you to pray to your God. I want you to pray that he comes and saves you. I want lightning to come down and crash upon my f***ing head.
The movie's also loaded with classic rock and has this grungy, grindhouse kind of vibe to it, but it's glued together well. You're not necessarily rooting for these psychopaths, but you're in the passenger seat with them. It's such an interesting movie. And again, it's like the pinnacle. It is the peak film out of everything that followed the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the best movie inspired by the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it's certainly like the end of the road. It's kind of where everything converges and you get this sort of epic horror movie out of it. It's just kind of incredible stuff. Fair warning though, it's easily the most disturbing movie on this list. Do not watch it just because I recommended it. You've got to have a strong stomach for this one. Now, I did promise a couple of honorable mentions. One is The Lure, which is a horror movie about mermaids. Really cool, stylish flick from Poland, so you are going to have to read subtitles, and this one gets a little too weird for me. I know that's a bold statement. I recommend a lot of really weird movies, but this one's not a musical, but it's got a couple of musical numbers. Almost too bizarre for my taste, but still, really cool, stylish Polish flick about bloodthirsty mermaids. And then Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down is a classic starring Antonio Banderas. Again, you're going to have to read subtitles for this one, but it's a young Antonio Banderas. He kidnaps his favorite adult film star who he's in love with. There's Stockholm Syndrome, the whole thing. It's a raunchy movie, but it's also kind of fun, lively, and colorful. It's a great little Spanish language flick. But my number 2 pick on this list comes from Japan. It's an anime movie, but it's an anime movie unlike any anime movie you've ever seen. You see, this isn't sci-fi or fantasy. This is like a David Lynch movie done with Japanese animation. It's wild stuff. It's titled Perfect Blue, and it's about an actress, or really like a pop star becoming an actress. Honestly, doesn't even sound that interesting, and I can't really tell you what it's about. Not only is it hard to explain, but if I try, it's gonna spoil way too much of it. But I can tell you the animation style and the music and everything gives this movie a super slick vibe, and honestly, some really disturbing sequences, or at least one in particular. But Perfect Blue is a brilliant mind bender of a movie, and it's just a hair under 90 minutes, so it's a short watch, and HBO Max has the English dub if you have trouble with subtitles. There's no reason not to watch this one. Unless you've just never seen David Lynch or anime, this movie's not going to be the best place to start. And then my number 1 pick is going to surprise some of you, but this is my favorite movie of 2025. They just added it, and I'll be honest, it's maybe the least graphic movie on this list, but it still qualifies for multiple graphic sex scenes in Marty Supreme.
I know it's hard to believe, but I'm telling you, this game, it fills stadiums overseas. And it's only a matter of time before I'm staring at you from the cover of a Wheaties box.
Now, the reason I sound so damn excited about this movie is because I had no idea. I'm not a massive Timothée Chalamet fan or anything like that, but this is the latest film and first solo film from director Josh Safdie, who previously wrote and directed films with his brother, Uncut Gems and Good Time. I love both of those movies, and I gotta say, I was kind of disappointed by his brother's film with The Rock, The Smashing Machine. It's a nice film, but it does not have the electricity and the energy that Good Time and Uncut Gems had. Marty Supreme does. It's got the same sort of speed and feel to it. Timothée Chalamet, I'm a huge fan of him now. Like, I've liked him and stuff. The character he brings to life in this movie is so funny. He's such a scoundrel, too. It's so entertaining to watch.
Hey, I'll rip that unibrow right off his forehead!
You want to get physical? Like an ape?
And Josh Safdie, to me, feels like early Martin Scorsese. Like, Goodfellas is my favorite movie of all time, and early Martin Scorsese, it made some of my absolute favorite movies, movies like Mean Streets and Raging Bull, and that is what Marty Supreme feels like. That's what Josh Safdie feels like, except updated for 2026. He feels like the new Martin Scorsese to me. I love his filmmaking style, and what's so great about Marty Supreme, it's a total work of fiction, yet this character just comes to life in an incredibly vivid way. And, you know, the movie is a drama about a ping pong player set in the 1940s. Like, how is it this entertaining? Oh, Kevin O'Leary is fantastic in this movie. There's so many elements I really enjoy. I mean, if you cannot tell, Josh Safdie, he's my favorite filmmaker working today. I'm so excited to see what he does next. But here is a recap of the list. Don't forget to go check out the Delete Me link down in the description. As you can see, most of these are only available on HBO here in the US. That's because of the way licensing works, but many of them will be available on other streaming services in the near future. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see future episodes from me, but I'm going to keep making these as long as y'all keep watching them. Thanks for watching this HBO Max episode, and you will see me on the next one.